Alright guys, here's a list of tools that you're going to need for the oil change on the 2015 Civic. I highly recommend a torque wrench to tighten your drain plug so you don't over tighten. It tightens at 30 foot-pounds. I have a 1/2-inch drive torque wrench here, so I use a 3/8 drive on my socket, so you're going to need an adapter from a 1/2-inch to a 3/8 drive. You're going to need a 3/8 drive ratchet, 17mm socket for your drain plug, a funnel, a Phillips screwdriver to take the skid plate off the bottom so you can access your drain plug and filter, a filter wrench, a 5-quart change of 0W20 synthetic oil. It takes 3.9 quarts of it, and a Honda oil filter. I got all this off Amazon. I'll leave a link to everything. The filter number is 15400-PLM-A02, and it should be everything you need. You also need a drain pan to catch your oil in. I didn't show, but I'll link one in the description. Alright guys, we got the Civic up on the lift. There's a skid plate here you got to take off to access the drain plug and the filter. Let's see if I get here. There's three, well, there's a few missing here. 2, 3 Phillips head screws that you got to take out, and also it has a little clip here that you slide back to pull this thing off. So we'll get that pulled off and I'll show you the drain plug and stuff like that. Alright, now you just take it and slide it forward, drop it down. Okay, after you take the skid plate off, right here's your drain plug. It's a 17mm, so that's where you drain it, and right up here's your oil filter. Pretty easy to get to. I'll get the oil filter wrench to get it off, and I'll show you guys how I do it, draining in a pan. Alright guys, it's time to loosen the drain plug and drain it into the catch pan. Like I said, I'm using a 17mm, and right here's your drain plug. Sometimes you have to give it a bump. These things are pretty tight. And I'll get my drain can up here to catch it. I just use a basic drain pan you can get off of Amazon or anything. I'll link all the parts and stuff into the description where you can see what I use, or if you're interested in purchasing them, I have an affiliate account to help the channel out a little bit. So here we go. It's a good idea also to clean your drain plug off, and check this little, they got like an aluminum washer that's on the plug that helps seal it up. Just check it, making sure it's pretty good. Most of the time you can reuse these. And you want to let it just drain for probably 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So just make sure everything's drained out well with it. Alright guys, I looked up online and it says the torque spec for the drain plug is 30 foot-pounds, and I'm going to use a torque wrench. Sometimes you can tighten them up, but it's best to do it by the torque specs because you don't want to strip these out because that can get costly changing out your oil pan. So I'm going to show you how I set a torque wrench, and if you work on your car much, you really need a torque wrench. Alright guys, here's your basic torque wrench. This is a 1/2-inch drive torque wrench, and I'll show you how to set it up. It has numbers down through here in the line. It's got 150, 130, 140, 120, and it has markings here from 0 to 9, and that would be if you got it up on 20. If you roll it up to 20 on the 0, that would be 22, 23, 24. So we're going to run this one up to the 30 right here. And the 0, you can see the little line comes over and down and hits the 0. That's 30 foot-pounds. So what you want to do is you just want to lock this little knob that keeps it from turning, and then you just tighten it up till it clicks, and I'll show you how it does that. If you're using a 1/2-inch drive, because a lot of my metrics are 3/8 drive, so you need this adapter. It goes from a 1/2-inch drive to a 3/8 drive. It just adapts your 3/8 drive sockets to your 1/2-inch drive ratchet. So you'll just take your 17mm, put it on this, and hook it to your torque wrench. Now we're going to get our drain plug started. Just make sure you wipe your drain plug off and wipe all around here. You just don't want to mess up through there. Alright, now you just take your torque wrench and put on here and hold it at the bottom till it clicks. That's how you know when it gets to 30 foot-pounds. So we should be good to go on that. I will say one thing for Honda, they put this thing where it's really easy to get to and it don't run all over. A lot of cars, they put it and it drains down this pan and runs all off everywhere. So I give it to Honda for that. It makes our life a lot easier. Alright guys, time to take the oil filter off. I use these oil filter wrenches here. They work great. They just clamp and they're adjustable for different sizes. But it helps you grip it a lot better. Some of these you can take off by hand, but a lot of them, if they've been on here for a while, they stick pretty tight. So we'll try this. Alright guys, after you let it all drip down, get your filter, and what I like to do is take the new oil that when you open your 5-quart change up, although it takes 3.9, you gotta remember that when you're filling it up, is just take and rub the oil around this O-ring here. It just helps it seal better. It's a lot better to be wet to wet instead of just dry, and it won't seal as good. And also make sure you wipe off your mounting surface up there before you put your new filter on. What I like to do is spin it up till it touches and do about a half round or so after it seats. That's all you need. You really don't need to torque it down because you can tear that seal and then you'll have an oil leak. And wipe all your surfaces up. Keep from giving it a place for dirt to stick and stuff afterwards. Now it's time to drop it down and put the oil in it. Alright, now we've got to put the skid plate on with your 3 Phillips screws, and it locks in these tabs. I'm going to zoom in where you can see the tabs and on how to put it in there. Okay, your pan actually goes in between here on this, so you can pull it down with it locked in. That's where your screw goes in here. So once you get that, you pull it forward. You have your tabs here. Slide it back. It holds it in place, and then put your screws in. Now's a good time to walk under the car, see if there's anything you need to check. I like to check before I let the cars down, check for tire wear, any leaks, or looks like any frayed wires or anything. So we'll walk under it and see if we see anything needs to be repaired before we take it down. Alright guys, let's walk under the car to see if we see anything that maybe we need to address. I did notice as soon as I lifted it up that the tire wear on the inside is pretty bad. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate them, but I think we're going to have to get a front end alignment before long and put some new tires on. But notice this side's worse. I don't know if someone hit a pothole for it. Like I said, we just got this car, so I'm just trying to go over it. This is my wife's car. Probably not too long, but I'd say a front end alignment. Everything else looks pretty good. I don't see anything really leaking or any frayed wires or anything, so all exhaust looks good, no rust. So I think besides the front end alignment issue and a few new tires, I think this is going to be a good little car for her. Alright guys, this thing takes 0W20 synthetic. 3.9 quarts is what it takes after it's converted. I think it's 3.6 liters if you're doing liters. But the way I do it, the 5-quart change usually what you get. They have markings from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on your quart. So you really don't need to use a measuring cup. You just follow this. So what I do is I sit on level ground. I mark with a Sharpie where it is at the top so you know this is 5. So we need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll go down to the 1. That'll be 4 quarts. I mark it. It says 3.9, but our filter's empty, so it holds some. So I put pretty close to 4 quarts in mine. You always check it after you get it cranked up and run and circulate the oil through, but right at 4 quarts should be pretty good. So that's usually what I do. Also, a good practice to get in is always clean your funnel, even laid around dust. You want any particles going in here. I use brake clean a lot of times, but I've already cleaned this one pretty good. But just make sure this is clean and make sure there's nothing going to fall into where you feel at. Right here's your feel cap. And see it says 0W20 on here. That's what it's recommended. I try to peel all this full stuff off that I can, just to make sure that it don't drop into the engine. Now we're going to put our 3.9 quarts in. And every now and then just check, stop and check, because here's where we're going down to. So we're about halfway now. Right here, just about an 1/8 more quart, if you want to call it that. I'd rather creep up on it than go over. You see that there? We're about right. It's pretty close to on the line. You can see it there. So we're gonna put everything back together, start it up, let it circulate the oil around, and then pull a dipstick and check and see where it is exactly, see if we need to add any or not. Alright, just wipe off your cap for where you fill it in, and then we'll start it up and let it run for a minute and just see where we're at on the dipstick. Alright guys, let's pull the dipstick and check it. What you want to do is just give it a quick wipe, seat it all the way down and pull it back out. And it looks to be about halfway up on the stick. You want it anywhere from here to here. And this is operating range. This one here is about 3/4 up, so that 4 quart with the empty filter should be about right. So it looks good. Alright guys, that's a wrap on this 2015 Honda Civic oil change video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that subscribe, like button, hit the notification bell. If there's anything you'd like to see in upcoming videos, just please let me know. And thanks for your support, and God bless.